There's a strange thing that can happen when you start getting close to the life you want. You finally get that opportunity and suddenly you hesitate. The athlete finally gets that starting position. The entrepreneur finally gets that meeting. You finally meet someone you can build a relationship with. You finally get offered the promotion. You finally get your shot. And instead of becoming more confident, you start questioning yourself. Am I ready? What if I screwed this up? What if I'm not good enough? What if they realize I don't belong here? Why is that? Because getting the opportunity and becoming the person capable of owning that opportunity are two complete different things. And that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to Unlock the Mind with Lester, and welcome to this new episode. It's a new series I'm calling Become More, because I believe there comes a point when your goals stop requiring more motivation. They start requiring a different version of you. So today we're talking about identity, not the identity somebody gave you, not your job title, not what's written on your driver's license. I'm talking about the answer to a much more deeper question. Who do you believe you are? And an even more important question, who are you becoming? So let's think about this for a second. Most people try to change their results without changing the patterns producing those results. Many of us say, I want more money. I want a better relationship. I want to get in shape. I want to start that company. I want to make varsity. I want that scholarship. I want to become a starter. I want to make that league. I want more confidence. These are all outcomes. But let's go underneath the outcome. A football player can say, I want to become a starting quarterback. Okay, cool. What does a starting quarterback do? How does he prepare? How does he study? How does he respond after throwing an interception? How does he walk back into the huddle? What does he tell himself when there's a 2-minute left and everyone is looking at him? That's identity. Now let's take the entrepreneur. I want to build a $1 million company. Sounds great. Who do you need to become to responsibly build, lead, and maintain that company? How does that person handle rejection? How do they behave when motivation disappears? How do they communicate? How do they make decisions when there's uncertainty? How do they react when something they worked 6 months on fails? Again, identity. And maybe neither one of those examples is you. Maybe you're rebuilding after a breakup. Maybe you're trying to become a better parent. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you're trying to stop procrastinating. Maybe you're trying to become healthier. Maybe you're 55 years old and you're realizing, damn, I don't want the next 20 years to look like the last 20 years. And that's good, because this conversation is for all of you. Because the arena may change, but the principles don't. Now, here's the first idea I want you to remember. Your goals tell you where you want to go. Your identity influences how you repeatedly show up on the way there. Now, where did your identity come from? This is a bit interesting. How much of what you believe about yourself did you consciously choose? Think about that. Maybe somewhere along the way, somebody told you, you're shy, you're not athletic, you're bad with money, you're too emotional, you're the irresponsible one, you're not a leader, you're not good at school, you're just like your father. People like us don't do that. And maybe you heard some version of that, I think, enough times, that you eventually stopped hearing it as an opinion and started experiencing it as who you are. And that's something very powerful because now we're talking about an identity that was given to you, but it's not something you created. And it becomes part of your self concept. You start interpreting your experiences and life with that identity. Now, if I believe I'm terrible under pressure, every mistake becomes evidence. You know, you make a mistake, see, I knew it. But when I perform well, I got lucky. You know, today was my day. Now imagine doing that for years and years and years. This is why I find subconscious work so fascinating. Because sometimes we're consciously trying to create one life while automatic patterns are still organized around an older story. Which now brings me to this amazing topic that's called homeostasis. And let me explain what exactly homeostasis is. So let me know if you've ever done this. It's Sunday night and you tell yourself, that's it. Tomorrow morning, it's a new me. I'm going to start my new diet. I'm going to go to the gym, start journaling, doing some meditation, no procrastination, waking up at 5 in the morning. I'm drinking a gallon of water a day, and we're conquering the world by lunchtime. All excited, feeling great, ready to go for this new day, new week. Okay. So it's Monday. You're killing it. You had an amazing day. You did everything you said you were going to do. Awesome. Tuesday, you're still at it. You're pretty good, and you're going forward. Wednesday comes around. You tell yourself, well, technically, tacos have protein, so I'm still sticking to my diet. I'm a little bit sore, so maybe I could take a day off the gym. And 2 weeks later, somehow, some way, you're right back where you started. Why is that? There's a biological concept called homeostasis. That's the regulation that helps living systems maintain relatively stable internal conditions in scientific terms. So I'm not saying that every habit or psychological pattern is literally a biological homeostasis, but I love using that concept as an analogy for behavior because it gives us a simple way of thinking about change. Familiarity has gravity. Your routines are familiar. Your environment is familiar. Your reactions are familiar. The internal dialogue is familiar. Even patterns you don't practically like can still be familiar. And when you begin behaving differently, sometimes different feels wrong simply because different isn't familiar yet. And that's important because people often interpret discomfort as this isn't me. And it's just simply you're not familiar with it yet. That's worth repeating. When the new version of you feels uncomfortable, that doesn't automatically mean you're going in the wrong direction or the wrong way. It just sometimes means you're practicing something that isn't familiar yet. Now, there's a story I want to get to, but it pertains to athletes. But as an athlete, you already know who you are. And I was thinking about this session I saw from Dr. Kappas, training with sports performance that I just I love. He was discussing a competitive figure skater who was having trouble with a particular triple jump. Here's what fascinated me about that whole story. She wasn't a beginner. She's been doing figure skating for many years, and she has successfully performed the movement hundreds of times. So Dr. Kappas essentially asked her, "What's the problem?" Her body knows how to do it. She already proven that. She has the training, she has the mechanics, she has the repetition. The problem was the anticipatory anxiety and conscious interference were getting involved in something in her trained responses already knew how to execute. So instead of making her obsess over the failures immediately before her competition, because they only had one session and she was actually going into competition, they emphasized on something incredibly simple. You've successfully done this hundreds of times. The training is already there. Let the trained response happen. That concept appears repeatedly in the session, reinforcing her successful repetitions and allowing the automatic process to operate rather than magnifying the weak point. So I thought, damn, how many of us are doing the same damn thing right now? How much of your life are you still trying to learn something that you already know how to do? You know you should make that call. You know how to work out. You know how to set that boundary. You know if you should ask for the opportunity. You know you can perform. You know what your coach taught you. You know what your mentor taught you. You know what to do. But when the moment comes, something inside you starts going, wait, what if, but maybe, are you sure? And suddenly, instead of performing, you do the complete opposite, right? So maybe your next level doesn't always require knowing more. Maybe sometimes it requires becoming the person who can access what they already know. You don't have to destroy the butterflies in your stomach. And another part of Dr. Kappa's sports discussions that I loved is that they talked about pre-performance anxiety. And instead of saying we need to completely eliminate this feeling, Dr. K reframed it towards excitement, because an athlete doesn't necessarily want to walk onto a football field without knowing, feeling like he's about to take a nap. He needs activation, energy, adrenaline, intensity, and not just a football player, right? Any athlete that's going to compete, um, even if you're going to a meeting, you need these emotions. You need this. You're going to speak in front of investors. You need this. And Dr. K explicitly distinguishes anxiety from excitement and describes that excitement as useful to performance. And I think it's a beautiful lesson outside of sports as well. So, what if every butterfly doesn't mean danger? What if sometimes those butterflies mean this matters? You're about to give a presentation, your heart starts beating, you're about to compete, your stomach turns, you're about to ask someone out, your hands are getting warm, you're about to launch your business and you feel that rush, and your old identity says, oh crap, I'm nervous. What if the new identity says, good, I'm ready, let's go, I embrace this? It's the same body, just different meaning. It's the language that you're also using towards yourself. So maybe you don't need to eliminate the butterflies. Maybe you need to teach your mind what butterflies mean. Now, what does this have to do with identity? Everything. Because every time you respond differently, you're collecting evidence. Suppose your old identity says, I fall apart under pressure. Tomorrow, pressure arrives. You breathe, you slow yourself down, you make the decision anyway. Now you've created a piece of evidence. Wait, maybe I can handle pressure. Then you do it again and again and again. Eventually, you're not trying to convince yourself, I handle pressure. You've accumulated experience of handling pressure. So that's the difference. This is why I don't want you walking around all day repeating affirmations you don't believe. I'm a billionaire. Meanwhile, you're checking the couch cushions for gas money, or going into that old piggy bank and just taking the money out. So Your mind isn't stupid. I mean, it does. That's why we do have the conscious part of the mind, right? Instead, create the evidence, and it's tiny evidence, nothing huge, right? It's just repeated evidence that you actually believe. Now, let's get into something people talk about constantly: visualization. Visualize your dream house, your trophy, the trophy you want, the money, the relationship, all that, right? But here's what I want you to consider: don't only visualize the reward, rehearse the identity. If you're an athlete, don't only picture yourself holding the trophy. Picture third and long. Picture getting hit, making a mistake, hearing the crowd, your breathing, yourself getting back up, walking into the huddle and saying next play. Now, if you're building a business, don't only visualize your bank account. See yourself making the uncomfortable phone call. See yourself hearing no, negotiating, staying composed, showing up when nobody is applauding, making that boring decision that your future depends on, because that's the person who creates the result. The trophy is the outcome. We're interested in rehearsing the operator. And we're going to go much deeper into visualization on this next episode. We're going to talk about how to do it, what to visualize, first person versus third person imagery, what happens if you don't naturally see vivid pictures, and how to mentally rehearse, how mental rehearsal can be used without turning into this whole magical thinking. But today, I want you to experience something. We're gonna do a first identity installation. We're gonna do this little cool practice here. So I think I've talked enough, gave you a lot of information. I just don't want to give you intellectual just understanding of what identity is. I want you to experience it a little bit. So even if it's just brief, this is not a hypnotic session or meditation or anything, but um, this is just what it might feel like to rehearsing becoming that future you. So I'm going to give you this little gift. I'm calling this the identity installation. Again, this is not therapy. It's not magic. It's just a very short mental rehearsal exercise. And you don't have to force anything. Just relax. Let the experience give whatever comes naturally to you. And just be in the moment. As I will always say this: if you're driving, you're operating any equipment, machinery equipment, or doing anything requiring your full attention, just save this section for later and come back to it. Just for your safety, I definitely wouldn't want anyone to go into a trance and not not being in a conscious state. Okay. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get comfortable, relax. Let your seat go ahead and sink into your seat, relax, let gravity take over. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to close. Take a slow breath in through your nose and release it. Again, slowly breathing in and letting it go. Very good. And one more time, breathing in. And as you breathe out, allow your shoulders to loosen and just drop a little bit more. Very good. Now, I want you to visualize or imagine, or maybe even sense, or simply just think about a path that's in front of you. It's a beautiful path. It is well lit, and pavement is whatever you desire. You don't have to see it perfectly. Maybe you see pictures, maybe you feel it, maybe you simply know it's just there. All of that is fine. This is your experience. And somewhere farther along this path is another version of you. It's not a stranger. It's not some fake character. It's you. But a version of you who has developed the quality you need for the next level. Maybe that's confidence, discipline, patience, leadership, courage, focus, peace, resilience. Choose one. And notice this version of you. How do they stand? How do they breathe? What's different about their face, their shoulders, their eyes, their energy? Notice something else. This person still has problems. They still have difficult days. They still experience uncertainty. The difference isn't that life became perfect. The difference is how they respond. So notice, how does this version of you respond when things don't go according to plan? How do they speak to themselves after making a mistake? What have they stopped tolerating? What do they do even when they don't feel like doing it? And now, imagine moving closer, closer still, until you're standing directly in front of this version of you. And perhaps you can look into their eyes and recognize something. This isn't somebody you're pretending to be. These are qualities, responses, choices, and possibilities that you are capable of practicing. And when you're ready, imagine stepping forward and stepping into that version of yourself. No longer looking at them, looking through their eyes, feel their posture, take their breath. Notice what confidence feels like from the inside, or discipline, courage, whatever quality you choose. And you don't need to force yourself to believe you've completely changed. For now, just become curious about what happens when you rehearse this response. Now imagine tomorrow, not 10 years from now, tomorrow. See yourself waking up. And sometime tomorrow, there will be a moment when the old pattern normally appears. Maybe you procrastinate, maybe you hesitate, maybe you lose your patience, maybe you second guess yourself. Pressure could hit. See that moment. And this time, experience yourself responding from this new identity. How do you breathe? What do you say? What do you do next? Very good. Now, another moment tomorrow, something small. See yourself responding again. And another, because identity isn't built in one giant moment. It's reinforced through repeated choices. And every time you practice that choice, you make that response a little more familiar. Take one final breath in and silently complete this sentence. I am becoming someone who finished it. Good. Now I'm going to count up from 1 to 5. At 5, your eyes will open. You'll feel alert, grounded, and feeling so amazing. At 1, let's go ahead and bring your attention back. 2, take a deeper breath. 3, energy is returning to your body. Feel it vibrating from your feet all the way up to the top of your head. 4, perhaps moving your fingers, your shoulders, stretching if that feels good. And 5, eyes wide open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes wide open, present, and welcome back. Hope that took you on a very personal, good journey. So don't just feel it. I want you to prove it. Now, here's a challenge I'm going to give you for the rest of this week. Because if you finish that exercise thinking, wow, Lester, that felt amazing, then I want you to spend these next 7 days doing exactly what you've always done. We missed the point. So here's your homework. Or actually, let's call it, again, your 7-day challenge. For 7 days, every morning, I want you to ask yourself, who am I becoming today? Write that down in your journal if you like. Go ahead and choose one quality, not a whole list of it, just one. So maybe you can be disciplined for today. Tomorrow, maybe you can say you are feeling present. Wednesday, you're confident. Whatever you need. Then I want you to ask yourself, if I were already practicing this identity, what's one thing I would do differently today? Again, just one thing. Then do it. That's your evidence. And before you go to bed, if you do journal before going to bed, or just ask yourself this question before going to bed. Where did I prove that identity today? Notice what we're doing? We're training attention to recognize successful repetitions. That parallel something I liked in the Dr. Kappa's sports material. Immediately before performance, the intervention emphasized the skater's large history of successful repetitions instead of allowing a small number of failures to dominate her attention. So we're not denying the mistakes. We're changing what gets rehearsed. And I want you to do something with me. Come back to this episode during the challenge. Put one word in the comment, the identity that you're practicing, whether that's disciplined, being more confident, present, courageous, patient, focused, whatever the word is. I want to see that in the comments because I want to see what this community is becoming or what this tribe is becoming. So now if you do want to go deeper and do more personalized work, before we finish, if you're still listening to this thinking, okay, I understand this intellectually, but I want to help applying this specifically to me, that's the work that I love doing. I work with people using different modalities, such as hypnosis, visualization, mental rehearsal, and other performance tools to help them work with the patterns underneath the performance. I'm also developing a specialized performance work for athletes and high performers right now. That's still in the works. And I do work privately one-on-one as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, you'll find information below. There's no pressure because whether you ever work with me or not, use what you've learned today. I put this information out for everyone. That's why I'm making this series because we're not done. We're far from done. Today I asked you to visualize, but I mean, what does that even mean, right? Are you supposed to see yourself outside your body or through your own eyes? How long should you visualize? What exactly do you rehearse? What if you close your eyes and you didn't see anything? I mean, that just, it's happened. Does, does visualization still work? And why do athletes use mental rehearsal in the first place? That's what this next episode is going to be about becoming more. So we're breaking visualization all the way down. There's going to be, it's not really about manifestation. Um, it's not going to be picture the Ferrari and wait for the universe to deliver it. That's not what it's about. We're going to talk about mental rehearsal, how to actually practice it, and how to combine imagery with action. Okay. So here's what I want you to remember today. You don't need to hate the old version of yourself to become something more. That version got you here, but it doesn't have to take you everywhere you're going. Your next level may require different habits, different responses, standards, and choices, and maybe a different understanding of who you are capable of becoming. So don't wait for life to change before you start showing up differently. Um, give your life something different to respond to. All right. It's a pleasure making this video for you guys. I really hope that it gave you guys knowledge on what identity is, and just a good starting point on your own journey. All right, everyone. I'm Lester Torres. This is Unlock the Mind with Lester. And remember, unlock the mind, become more. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.